Today we are learning all 12 tenses in English, and I'm going to give you lots of examples so that you can learn them and use them yourself. Firstly, I think it's best to have an overview and then we can go more in depth into each group. Let's go through overview first. We have the present simple, I eat cheesecake. Present continuous, I am eating cheesecake. Present perfect, I have eaten cheesecake. Present perfect continuous, I have been eating cheesecake. Then we move on to the past simple, I ate cheesecake. Past continuous, I was eating cheesecake. Past perfect, I had eaten cheesecake. Past perfect continuous, I had been eating cheesecake. Now moving on to the future, we have the future simple, I will eat cheesecake. Future continuous, I will be eating cheesecake. Future perfect, I will have eaten cheesecake. Future perfect continuous, I will have been eating cheesecake. Can you see how many similarities there are between all of these tenses? Okay, I know that going over 12 tenses all in one lesson may seem like a lot, and it is. This is a big lesson, but they do share a lot of characteristics. So, seeing them all together can make them easier to learn and remember. They are all really important. Now let's look a little more closely, starting with the present tenses, the first tense that you learn in English. The present simple tense. Like its name, it's fairly simple. The structure of the present simple is subject plus base form of the verb. Except from in the third person singular. In the third person singular, we add an S to the verb. Have to say, this always catches most students out when they are relatively new to learning English. So, for I, you, we and they, it's I work, you work, we work, they work. But the he, she and it is she works, he works, it works. I eat, you eat, we eat, they eat, he eats, she eats, it eats. I play, you play, we play, they play, he plays, she plays, it plays. We use the present simple to talk about general facts and statements, habits, scheduled event in the future. General facts and statements. Here are some examples. I am a girl. My name is Sanli. They are students. She is a teacher. Habits. I meet my friends once a week. They eat chocolate every day. Jennifer meets her friends on Saturday evenings. They go to church on Sunday. I eat breakfast every day. She reads books every day. Scheduled event in the future. The plane arrives at 6 p.m. tomorrow. The train leaves in 10 minutes. The restaurant opens at 7:30 tonight. The buses leave at 9 a.m. tomorrow. I meet my friends on coming Monday at 4 p.m. I hope all of that's clear. Right, let's move on to the present continuous. The present continuous tense. The structure of the present continuous is subject plus be plus verb ing. We use the present continuous to talk about things that are happening at the moment of speaking. We can also use the present continuous tense to talk about things that we think are temporary happening around now. We also use this tense to talk about future arrangements. This means that we are planning to do something in the future and it involves another person or business. Things that are happening at the moment of speaking. Here are some examples. I am teaching English. She is watching a movie. He is eating dinner. They are baking cookies. The children are sleeping. It is always raining in London. Things that we think are temporary. Compare these two sentences. Present simple, Jennifer lives in Mumbai. Present continuous, Jennifer is living in Mumbai. In the first sentence, I use the present simple tense because I think that Jennifer's state is more or less permanent. But in the second sentence, I use the present continuous because I think Jennifer's state might be temporary. She is living in Mumbai now, but I don't know what might happen in a few weeks or months. Perhaps she is studying there for a short time. Here are some examples. He is eating a lot these days. I am reading a detective storybook at the moment. They are swimming in the morning on these days. Jane is driving her husband's car at the moment because her car is being repaired. We are not doing them right now at the moment, we are just speaking about them. But we are doing them on these days. Not at the moment of speaking, but these days. English speakers often use the present continuous tense to talk about future arrangements. A future arrangement is a plan that you have decided and organized with another person. This means that we are planning to do something in the future and it involves another person or business. Here are some examples. We are meeting Jennifer at 3 p.m. tomorrow. I'm having my hair cut on Tuesday. She is going to the church on next Sunday. He is meeting Sarah at the airport on Saturday evening. We are staying with friends when we get to Boston. Mary is going to a new school in next term. Let's move on to the present perfect. The structure of the present perfect is subject plus have or has plus past participle. There are three main ways that we use the present perfect in English. The first one is to talk about things that started in the past and continue to the present. The second one is to talk about our experiences up to the present. The third one is to talk about past events and actions that have consequences in the present. Things that started in the past and continue to the present. Here are some examples. We have lived in Mumbai since 2021. I have lived in Sri Lanka all my life. She has worked here since she left school. He has written a book for months. I have eaten chocolates all day. It's very important to remember that they are unfinished actions. When we talk about these events, we often mention how long they have been going on for or when they started. Our experiences up to the present. I have read all the Harry Potter books. They have eaten all the cookies. He has been to India 2 times. We have met the Queen. She has been to Canada 3 times. Past events and actions that have consequences in the present. I have lost my keys so I can't get into the house. She has eaten too much and now she doesn't feel so well. I have read all the books, now I feel so sleepy. He has eaten breakfast so he is not hungry. They have forgotten to put on their hats and now they feel so embarrassed. I have cleaned the entire house so now I am exhausted. Someone has broken the vase of flowers, the floor is all wet now. I have passed my exam with excellence and my parents are very happy now. Jennifer has put too much stuff in the cupboard and now I can't close the door. Someone has stolen my laptop, now I need to buy a new one. Mike has lost his keys so he is going to be late for work. She has done all the laundry so she is tired now. Let's move on to the last of the presents, the present perfect continuous tense. The structure is subject plus have or has plus been plus verb ing. We use the present perfect continuous tense to talk about things that we have been doing uninterrupted that haven't finished. We also use the present perfect continuous tense to talk about things that have been done recently or lately. Things that we have been doing uninterrupted that haven't finished. Here are some examples. I have been misplacing my wallet and keys for days. She has been watching the TV show for weeks. Jennifer has been replying for 2 hours already. I have been reading Harry Potter for a month now. Things that have been done recently or lately. They have been competing in flute competitions recently. I have been practicing my art and craft skills a lot recently. She has been trying to call you all day. Okay, we made it through the present tenses. Let's move on to the past tenses. The past simple tense. It's the second most common tense that English speakers use. The structure is subject plus past verb. We use it to talk about events that happen before the present moment. Events that happen before the present moment. Here are some examples. I ate breakfast at 10 a.m. They gave it to teacher. She wrote a letter. I went to bed at 9 p.m. last night. Mary ate a box of chocolates for breakfast. These must be finished events or actions, and we often say when they happened, although that's not obligatory. Okay, let's move on to the past continuous tense. The structure of this tense is subject plus was or verb plus verb ing. We can use this tense to talk about what was happening at a specific moment in the past, and also used to talk about that an ongoing action was interrupted by another action. In this case, it's usually paired with another clause in the past simple. What was happening at a specific moment in the past? I was reading an interesting book last night. They were studying science last Friday. She was watching television at 9 p.m. yesterday. Dennis was cooking dinner at 7:30 p.m. yesterday. It was raining yesterday evening. We were going to cinema yesterday at this time. That an ongoing action was interrupted by another action. I was watching football match on TV when he called. They were drinking coffee when I arrived. We were eating when our friends showed up. Dennis was washing the dishes when the phone rang. It was snowing when I went outside. Let's move on to the past perfect. The past perfect tense. The structure is subject plus had plus past participle. We use this tense to talk about events that happened before another event or up to a certain point in the past. Let's take a look at some examples. I had written the email before he apologized. They had drunk all the cold drinks before the party started. The bus had already left when I arrived at the bus stop. You had traveled to 10 countries before your 22nd birthday. She had worked at the company for 5 years before it closed. Finally, let's discuss the past perfect continuous tense. The structure is subject plus had been plus verb ing. We use the past perfect continuous tense to talk about an action in the past that continued up to a certain time and continued after it, or a repeated action in the past up to a certain point. Look at these examples. We had been playing video games for 5 hours. She had been reading different kind of books since morning. He had been studying for the test for weeks, but he still failed it. I had been studying for hours when my mother arrived. I had been studying for my exams for weeks before I took them. Emma had been playing chess for a couple of hours. We had been looking for the wallet for 2 hours when Dennis found it. They had been watching a horror movie for 3 hours before you came home. I had been saving money for months before I bought my new car. Now, the past perfect and the past perfect continuous are often used interchangeably by native speakers. There's no difference in overall meaning. Take a look at these two sentences. There's no real difference in overall meaning. Past perfect. I had worked there for 5 years when the company closed. Past perfect continuous. I had been working there for 5 years when the company closed. As you can see, there's no real difference. However, you should use the past perfect continuous form in previous two situations. Okay, It's time to move on the future tense. The future simple tense. The easiest way to talk about the future. The structure is subject plus will plus base form of the verb. We can use it to talk about things that we think or believe will happen in the future. We can also use this tense to talk about facts in the future. Things that we think or believe will happen in the future. Here are some examples. I'm sure Alex will like the movie. She will decide to go. They will win the game. I think it will rain tonight. You will love this book. I will learn Spanish in the summer. Facts in the future. My sister will be a great teacher. It will be Deepavali in a week. They will be here in 2 hours. Children will be the future of this country. The phone bill will be very high. My father will be very upset. We can also use the future simple tense to make offers or promises. My sister will help you. I will call you tonight. They will come to visit you tomorrow. I will help you to carry this luggage. She will buy this car. We will drive you to the store. Let's move on to the future continuous. The future continuous tense. The structure is subject plus will be plus verb ing. This tense is used to talk about actions that will be in progress at a certain point in time in the future. These actions will start and end in the future, but we don't know when. Look at these examples. All of these actions will start and end in the future. We know when they will start, but we don't know when they will finish. I will be eating dinner at 9 p.m. tomorrow. I don't know when I'll finish. He will be playing video games on Sunday. They will be cooking food at this time tomorrow. The kids will be sleeping at our home tonight. Let's take a look at some more examples of the future continuous tense. My sister will be going to the office at 8 a.m. tomorrow. They will be going to college in October. She will be playing tennis in London next week. I will be sending you the homework by email tonight. We will be waiting for you at the church tomorrow morning. The future perfect tense. The structure is subject plus will have plus past participle. We use the future perfect to talk about actions or states that will be completed by a certain time in the future or before another action in the future. We often use time clauses with the future perfect, like by, when, while, after, before, whenever, by the time, like that. Let me show you an example. I will have finished dinner by the time she calls me tonight. We also can express it like this. By the time she calls me tonight, I will have finished dinner. Let's see some more examples. The plane will have taken off by 2 hours. He will have done it by this evening. I will have graduated from the university in 2 years. They will have left by then. I will have done this work by the time you arrives. You will have finished that popcorn before the film starts. Math lesson will have started by the time I arrive to the school. Finally, we have the future perfect continuous. The structure is subject plus will have been plus verb ing. This tense describes actions that will be continuing at a certain point in time in the future. When you use this tense, you are thinking about the duration of that action up to a certain point in time in the future. For an example, I will have been learning French for 10 years when I finish this school. We also can express it like this. When I finish the school, I will have been learning French for 10 years. I'll give you lots of examples for the future perfect continuous tense. I will have been staying in London by next summer. They will have been playing tennis tomorrow afternoon. She will have been living in Istanbul for 2 years. I will have been living in England for 10 years by 2030. He will have been going to the airport before 10 o'clock. We will have been working on this project since November. You will have been working here for 3 years by the end of this year. He will have been playing the guitar for 10 years when he turned 20. They will have been going to Australia for 5 years by next year. Now, let's look at a common mistake that we made with this tense. Like with most other continuous tenses, we don't usually use state verbs. So, as I mentioned, we cannot use state verbs with the continuous tenses words like love, like, hate, want, know, think, for examples. But sometimes people forget that and they might say something like this. We will have been knowing their family for 30 years by next year. So, why is that a mistake? Because know is a state verb which you should not and cannot use in that continuous form. So, this sentence would have to be what? It should be, we will have known their family for 30 years by next year. We will have known, okay? And not we will have been knowing. So here, we needed the future perfect by itself. And remember, you also can't use the future perfect continuous to talk about finished actions. You just have to use the future perfect instead. Right, that's it for today's lesson. We have covered the 12 tenses. I hope you learned something. Thank you guys so much to watching this video up to the very end. Hit the subscribe button if you enjoy my content. Like this video if you learned something new today. I'll see you soon in the next videos. Bye bye.